So all I'm doing today is answering questions that you asked me concerning relationships. The first question, this was not the first to arrive, but I determined this was going to be the first one I was going to answer, mainly because it is so crucial. This is an issue today. Relationships are going through this, and I think it's important. This person says, hey, thanks for your insightful platform. I once read that you officiate boardroom weddings. I do not want to do the kawaida large wedding. I find it exhaustive and unnecessary. I only need parental, pastoral blessings and certificate. Do you still do it, and how does it work? Thank you. Now listen, the three most important things in a wedding. This is all you need for a wedding. Number one, it's got to be a legal union. You need to have your wedding certificate. A wedding is not recognized without that certificate. For the Bible wants us to be right before God and before men. The Bible wants us to obey the law of the land. So legal union. Number two, you need your parental blessing, because it's a union of families. When you get married, you're not getting married as an island. You come from a family and you're joining a family. You did not drop off a tree like an avocado. You are loved and raised and educated, and you need that parental blessing for you to get married. What about when they're fighting your relationship, when they're unreasonable? That's a topic for another day. But as much as possible, get that parental blessing. The third thing you need for a wedding is the spiritual blessing. The prayer, the worship, the declaring of the word, the declaring of the blessing over you. That is crucial. That is all you need for a wedding. Everything else, details. All those are traditions, whether they're Western traditions or Kenyan traditions, but they're traditions. The wedding ring, the white dress, the cake, the DJ, the dancing, all those are traditions and according to your preference. And I encourage you, major on the majors, because guys, the expectations, the expense, the complications of weddings nowadays is so insane. It's actually mad that singles are so scared of weddings, and people are disobeying God and living together just to avoid having to have a wedding. And I'm here encouraging you that no, it doesn't have to be that complicated. As long as you have these three things in place, you can have a wedding. And if you had a wedding like this, I encourage you actually to speak about it. This is what we did, for example. We did not have a fundraising. We did not have, pre-wedding. We started giving towards our wedding and praying and petitioning God that we will afford everything. Number two, we made a budget according to what we could afford and what we were believing God for. And then on the wedding day, what we planned, we had a wedding, just the usual typical wedding. And then at the wedding, we did a cake cutting. We took photos and we did a cake cutting, and we had pre-packed cakes for everybody. And then we took family and friends and some of our colleagues to a certain hotel where we wanted to have our reception, because I did not want a whole reception. That's not what we wanted. We wanted it to be in a restaurant, but we could not afford to take everyone to the restaurant. So we did the cake cutting at the wedding ceremony, had pre-packed cake that everybody went home with. They had sodas, but we took those we could afford to a hotel and had a wonderful early dinner for our wedding reception. We are still married. I do not think our wedding has suffered anything, because our wedding was not, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It was beautiful, but it was not expensive. It was not as elaborate maybe as other weddings would have been in our time, because we majored on the majors. You have to just remind yourself, it's a legal union. You need the certificate. That's it. It's, you need the parental blessing and you need the spiritual blessing. Those are the three most important things. So when this person is talking about, a boardroom wedding and asking if we still do that, what they mean is that I've spoken about the fact that we have taken people through a wedding where the couple went to the AGs and they signed the wedding certificate, the legal, and then they came home. In one case, they came home to our place. They didn't have nothing. They didn't have money. They came home. So I prepared a wonderful lunch. We had lunch with them. We had the spiritual ceremony first, where we worshipped God, where pastor also joined them in with the Christian vows, so to say. And then we ate together. We prayed over them. We decreed the blessing. And after they finished, They went home. I think they were going to take a matatu, and my husband actually paid for them a cab to go home with, just so that on their wedding day, angalao, they didn't use a matatu. Let me tell you, of all the couples we have counseled and all the couples we have married, this is one of those couples that to date has an extremely strong marriage. They are serving God. They're in business, but they're also serving God. They have a family, and they're doing well, because a wedding is not about the elaborate expenses. It's not about showing off. You're not trying to prove to anyone that you are in love. As long as the three most important factors are in place, you can have a wedding. So don't complicate it for yourself. Don't complicate it for your man. Don't complicate it for your woman. You can have the day of your dreams with or without some of these things that people put such emphasis on. What really matters, let me tell you, is that you are agreed. Amos 3:3. How can two walk unless they be agreed? You have to be agreed that you want to get married. In fact, when you come for a premarital counseling, there's a pre-course questionnaire that we give you that checks with you. Are you getting into this union of a free will and of a sound mind, so that you're not being forced, you're not being coerced, you're not being threatened. You have to have agreement. That's it. Now then the legal union comes in, the parental blessing, and then the spiritual blessing. So yes, someone also asked, do you need the parental blessing? Is it a must? And my answer to you, because I'm combining the two questions, is absolutely. You were not plucked from a tree like an avocado, I've already said. You were not raised by wolves. Somebody changed your diapers. Somebody fed you. Somebody clothed you. Somebody worked hard to educate you and to raise you, and you need to honor them. Let me bring this closer a bit. I feel that I look so far. And you need to honor those parents. The Bible says honor your father and mother if you want it to be well with you and you want to have a long life. Do you want a long marriage? Do you want it to be well with that marriage? Dignify the process for your parents. Do not elope. There are special circumstances where there may be violence, there may be interference, there may be opposition that is unbiblical from the family. Now, when those situations arise, with wisdom and with counsel, you can maneuver them so that you're also imploring your parents to be involved. You're not shouting at them or giving them ultimatums. But if they completely refuse, then you can do the wedding without them. But then you have guardians, you have an uncle who loves you, you have an auntie, you have somebody in that family who can stand in. If your parents are just the stubborn ones who refuse to cooperate, do not lose a good spouse, and do not fail to have a great wedding because of selfish parents. And they do exist. So, no, you do not need to go into debt. No, you do not have to have a fundraising. Do it within your means. Have a wonderful ceremony. There's a marriage after the wedding, and you are so blessed when you find a spouse who is willing to do this, who is as level-headed as you, as pragmatic as you, and is willing to do what you can with what you have. Gone are the days when it was fashionable to try and impress everybody with your wedding. You don't need to. Do it within your means. And I would really like to know, would you consider, is this a theory? You see, we did it. But would you consider scaling down and having a wonderful wedding of your dreams? Maybe create a different dream of what really matters. Or are you the kind who, it's a must? It's a must. This wedding features on Tuko and trends on social media because you must make a statement. Which one are you? Which one are you? And we tell people, let's not pretend, let's not live beyond our means. But when it comes to you, would you do it? Or maybe have you done it?